The exact opposite, of course, for Bitcoin. If you go to daily time frame, we are still stuck inside this big range, and this exact range we saw like on the higher bounds from USD dominance, we can see it on the lower bounds on Bitcoin, right? So this entire range, and you already see these three support resistance. You can see them here as well. We're currently trading around the upper bound USDT and around the lower bound of Bitcoin. And we're also, just like USDT dominance, approaching the lower bound, USDT dominance approaching the upper bound, and blah, 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 right? So that's it. That's the situation. We are currently around the 18K. If we break it down, it wouldn't be good at all, okay? We'll be then expecting further bearish movements till around the 10 to 12K, which would be our next demand zone. In fact, 10 to 12K is a massive, massive zone. It's a resistance, as you clearly see, a very clean one, multiple rejections from, and then a support right here, right? A support now because it's broken upward, and also it's a demand zone because we had the bullish movement starting from here. So we went from 10 to 20K straight, right? So as you can see, straight line from here. That's why that's a demand zone. And of course, like we've got many many orders sitting right here. Also, it's a round number, right? So it's a 10K round number. You can see it even better if you go and zoom out to monthly time frame. Let me make them appear. Oops, not this one, this one. On monthly, you can see it very, very clearly from there. That's it, right? So you can clearly see how aggressive the movement from here was, right? So that's the only bearish candle, of course, from monthly, from this big bullish movement, and previously at resistance and so on. So that's basically it. And of course, like it's an entire zone, as you clearly see this entire bearish candle. So starting from 12, 12.5 to 10, this is the entire zone as a zone. If you go back to weekly, that's the view here. You can see pretty much this chart, this price action on almost all all altcoins. You can see a big drop, a consolidation, and we are currently here testing the previous low. You can see it, for example, let's go to AVAX, right? So you can see it on AVAX, the exact same thing, a drop, consolidation, currently retesting the previous low, currently around the rejection zone, and so on, okay? So for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, long story short, we need to see a breakup of this high, okay? The exact same thing for Bitcoin. Where is Bitcoin? That's it. This is the high while retesting the previous low, okay? And yeah, that's basically it. If we break below the 18K, we'll be expecting further bearish movement. We will break below this low. This low hasn't been broken yet, okay? If it's broken, it wouldn't be good. Expect further pain. On daily time frame, can't really add much as I showed you previously. Currently approaching the lower bound. On H4 time frame, this is where the magic happens. So we've got multiple keys that we are looking for. First, inside this big range from daily, we are stuck inside a smaller range from H4. We are trading here up and down the exact same range we saw from from USDT dominance, except that this is exactly the opposite, right? So we are currently trading inside this range, as you clearly see, and of course, for those who remember, we have been trading the range lately or last week. We waited for this one to be broken down, for the bears to take over, and we're applying the same logic now. For the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above the previous high, which we'll see better now on H1. But previously, if you remember, also we had this break, we traded higher, this break traded lower. Now we have this high right here. Anyway, I'll show it to you better. For now, we can still trade lower till around this area before we trade higher, which would be USD dominance diving inside the resistance zone before trading lower. So that's it. If you trade lower on Bitcoin or if you trade higher on USDT dominance, it would be the same thing before we trade lower again on your Bitcoin. That's it. We can trade lower, form a new swing high here, and then break it upward and trade higher. So as long as we are above the 18K, above this structure, above this zone in green, we are fine. The bulls can still kick in. Of course, this is just from a short-term perspective as long as we are here. Okay, so for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, we need to see a break above 25 or even 30K. For now, we are here. For the bulls to take over from a medium-term perspective, we need to see a break above this, like which, as you can see, like price has been struggling around for a while, multiple rejections from it. So that's it for Bitcoin. If you zoom into H1 time frame, this is the view that we can see. Previous, if you remember this zone, price broke above this high and traded higher. Price broke below this low, traded lower. Applying the same logic and starting from here, for example, price started to make higher lows, higher highs, consolidation, break below the low. Now lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. So that's it. As you can see, price is failing to break above the previous high. That's our last high for now. If you break it upward, we'll be expecting what? Higher lows, higher highs, right? Until eventually the previous low is broken downward and so on. So let me remove these ones real quick. Okay, fantastic. As mentioned, if you trade lower, we'll be waiting for something like this and then for the bulls to take over. And in fact, we'll just be updating this zone to be, for example, this zone right here. Because previously I had it here and then we traded lower, I moved it to here. And now if you trade lower, I'll move it to here and so on. Okay. Yeah, let's put it back there. Fantastic. Now, if you go to Ethereum, you can see a very similar logic, a very similar channel that we see here, the exact same one in red or in orange here. You know what? Since it's in orange there, let's make it an orange. So that's the exact same channel here and here. Okay. Let's go back to weekly, okay, to test it out real quick to check the overall view before we zoom into lower time frames. Now we are currently trading here inside these two support and resistance between 1K and 1.5K. Okay, if you zoom into daily time frame, we can see it better. 2K, 1K, 1.5, and we are currently around this minus support and resistance. So if we break it down, if we break below the 1250, of course, from daily, we'll be expecting further bearish movement till around 1K, where we'll be looking, of course, here for buy setups. Of course, unless it's broken downward, and then it wouldn't be good for Ethereum. But let's take it step by step. For now, we can still reject this little area unless broken down, okay? From a long-term perspective, for the bulls to take over, I would like to see not a break above this, but also a break above what? 1.5K and the upper trend line, okay? Because even if we trade higher, break above this high, trade higher like this, we can still trade lower from here because we've got a resistance zone. 1, 2, and we might have a third one, right? Look for buy stops here short term, and then here we go. The bulls will take over. Okay. Anyway, let's take it step by step. On H4 time frame, we are currently stuck inside this symmetric triangle, and it's getting narrower and narrower, right? So you can see that we had a big swing, a smaller one, and that's why you can see a symmetric triangle. Okay, it's getting narrower. So eventually, we'll have the break, upward or downward. If we break it downward, break below the symmetric triangle, it wouldn't be enough. I would like to see a break below this 1200, like for extra confirmation, because price can still trade like this and then trade higher. Okay, so I would like to see this full break, and then we'll be expecting this movement, or this break. It would be an early alert that the buyers are taking over, but I would like to see also a break above this area for the bulls to take over. From a short-term perspective, the exact same thing we saw in Bitcoin. That's it. That's our zone. Okay, you can make it a little bit higher or lower like this. Okay, so this entire zone, I would like to see a break above this previous major high and also above this trend line, which would happen at the same time if we break it. If we break it upward, that's basically it. While waiting for this, it's very similar to this high right here. Okay, this high was broken. This little one is broken, but we still need a break above this one, which happened to be like in the same candle. So I'm still waiting for this one to for extra confirmation. That's it. Meanwhile, Okay, of course, we can still, because like this is an entire zone from here till here. Meanwhile, we can still what? Reject this trend line, trade lower. So 1, 2, and 3. That's it. Before the bulls take over and by breaking above the previous high. Or we can still trade lower and lower and lower and break the 1200 downwards. Okay, that's it for Ethereum. And yeah, like now we've done with our first part. Let's go go over the altcoins. Of course, we'll start with NWC, and of course, let me check if Joseph is here. Okay, like Joseph is not here, but anyway, we'll go over Galatasaray because he's keeping an eye on it. So I could update it like really quick and see it like even though it says talk, but I added it because like Mac requested it, dear boss requested it, and then we'll go over as much as I can. So if you want me to go over a specific one, please let me know in the members talk, okay? First, let's go over NWC, Newscrypto. We can see that we are trading inside this big channel and brown. So for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, as you see here, we need to see a break above this high right here and above the 0.2, which is for now a support and resistance acting as a resistance. So this break would mean that the bulls are breaking above anything that might hold it down. Okay, this break would mean this long-term bullish movement. For now, okay, we are forming the third swing around this channel. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so like which is done. And now we are approaching what? You can see it from daily even better, this demand zone. Okay, we rejected it once, and we are currently retesting this area. So what we will do, we'll be looking for bar setups. If you go to H4 time frame, and if you remember last week, we were around this area and we were waiting for a break above the zone. That's why my alert is still here for the bulls to take over. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm still waiting for this break. We already got our trend line 1, 2, and 3, waiting for a break above like 0.115. In this case, we'll be expecting a short-term bullish movement. Meanwhile, you can see my alert also here. If we retest the demand zone, I'll be looking for short-term buy setups. Of course, unless we break this demand zone downward, then we'll be expecting further bearish movement till this area is support and resistance, where we'll be looking for buy stops here. But let's take it step by step for now. And you can even see this high and low very clearly from daily. Let me show it to you. That's it. Support, broken downward, now resistance. So if you break it upward, we'll be expecting this bullish movement. Okay. Fantastic, Mark. Thank you for the confirmation. DJ, if you can take a look at DFX. Okay, I'm not really sure what this one is. I never heard of it, but yes, we'll go over it. And if you find a chart which is not starting at UV listing. Okay, anyway, let's check it out. DFX. DFX